And we are live. Do you want to do the intro? Go on. Wolf is freezing.
Very much.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to round 8, I believe. Wolf, can you confirm this? Round 8?
8, yes.
Yes, okay. So round 8 of Formula Trout in the hybrid series. Oh, I'm freezing. Completely forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to try and bring up the standings on the stream so we can quickly go through them. Also, apologies for the delay. There was some problems with the stream. I completely blame Wolf.
While Max Stein just slightly hit the wall in turn 7.
Also, I have noticed a slight mistake. I'm quickly trying to fix it. There we go. I have the broadcast team wrong on the bottom right. Okay, so on the screen right now we can see the driver standings, and because Wormers Rees got disqualified, he got removed from the league for reasons unknown. I'm not going to start talking about it on the stream, but that means that Paul Maxire inherits the lead of the championship. Also, it puts a lot of people back into the championship fight. For example, Tarek Al-Qaeda, who is quite a few points behind Wormers Rees, is now only 16 points behind Paul Maxire. And Jannes van Dijk and Jack Smith, both roughly 20 points off the lead as well. So we could still have a close battle for the championship in the remaining 3 rounds. So this race is very crucial. Even though I believe Jack Smith is not racing tonight, but Paul Maxire, Tarek Al-Qaeda and Jannes van Dijk are all racing. So
Still crucial to pick up those points where you can.
yeah, exactly. Especially when the championship is looking this close, it's going to be a very important race. If Paul Maxire, DNFs and Tarek Al-Qaeda gets a win, for example, that means that Al-Qaeda is in the lead of the championship. So it's exciting stuff. Clunkies still in P5. Dave Southwood in P6, Max in P7, Mario Lynn in P8, Douglas Falcon in P9, and Cyprian Stoyan rounds off the top 10. All the drivers pretty close to each other, so it's a close fight in the top 10. Now let's get into the qualifying. Paul Maxire has set a 1 minute 9. I think it's a pretty good benchmark. What do you think, Wolf?
Yeah, during the free practice runs, the long runs were about the 110, 111s. And on the ultra soft tires as well, while we have Mario Lind on the hypers, setting a 110.0.
Yeah, I've noticed quite a few times that the faster drivers, for example Paul Maxire, they usually tend to go on the ultra soft tyre rather than the hyper soft. From what I've heard, the hyper soft is very sensitive to high temperatures, so it's only good for a couple of laps, which is fine in qualifying. But when it comes down to the race, you start suffering after a few laps. So ultra soft is definitely the better race tyre. Let's see if anyone is on a good lap. Jannes van Dijk 2/10 up on his lap. That is still quite far from Paul Maxire. Looking at the practice earlier from the week, Paul Maxire, I think he's been quite dominant. I think the closest driver to him is, let me just double check, is Jannes van Dijk, 4/10 off of him. So if Paul Maxire can keep this, oh my god, Jannes van Dijk just put in the wall, just spun out of the last chicane. I don't know why.
Quite a weird place to hit the wall there.
I think I was watching it with the corner of my eye as I was looking at the standings. I think he lost on the curb.
Yeah, lost on the first curb, then got massive oversteer coming out of the last corner, and then just hitting the wall on the left side of the circuit there.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do a whole lap with that broken wing.
Probably some suspension damage as well.
Paul Maxire barely up on his time. He's still matching it. There's two cars in front of him. Let's see if he can get a tow off of the Octane car in front. He's not going to use any of the slipstream. He's at half-tenth down.
Super brake lading, just
Yeah,
ever so slightly a bit too
late.
much oversteer.
I think he broke a bit too late there. It's compromised his exit, which meant he was 2/10 down, crossing line. Clank Hughes gaining a lot of time, but also losing a lot of time.
Hughes 4/10 on his lap.
4/10 up. Let's see how much he can gain through the last chicane. Breaks a lot
someone in
earlier
front of
than
him.
Paul Maxire. Loses 10th. He's still 3/10 up.
But retains the third position.
That puts Clank Hughes in 4th place. Just to point out, Christoph has posted a 9.7, which puts him up to P2. So it's looking like a very close battle for P2. I'm just wondering if any of these drivers can actually challenge for that pole position.
Looks to be a very solid lap from Maxire.
So he heads for another lap, but he's already 6/10 down, so not the best start. Tarek Al-Cadet, a 10th up on his time.
But only P8 during qualifying.
Yeah,
But might be able to get a tow from Maxi in front of him. Oh.
he needs. Well, he only needs 300s to get in the P8. He's right on his time. I think he brakes really early there. You can see he lost a lot of time.
Seemed to just give up the corner for a little bit more exit speed for his next lap. But just oversteer out of the second corner and just...
So some people going for multiple runs. So you're on board with Jannes van Dijk.
Just a little bit oversteer coming out of turn 1.
Yeah, he had a good first couple of corners. Gained him almost 10th, and he lost everything with that kick of oversteer.
So the entire top 4 is now started, have all done their laps on the ultra soft.
Interesting. What tyre is Mario Lindon.
Very limited on the hypers.
Okay, so the top 4 are on harder tyre. Very interesting.
Mario will be hoping to gain a couple of positions right at the start. And then just to hold on to those positions.
Yeah, the Hypersoft is definitely a good tyre, at least for a few laps. He's going to have to try and overtake as many people as he can at the start. It's Maxi.
Speaking from my own experience, the hypers are just so good at the start.
Yeah, Maxi
And
posts a 1:10, which puts him up to P6.
Maxi also on the hypersofts. Half a tenth off of Mario.
Christoph looking very pacey right now. He's a 10th up. Again, makes a small mistake and loses a lot of time there.
It's going to be interesting to see all of the drivers trying to keep him out of the walls during the race. There's quite some drivers in turn 7 who have a little bit of oversteer and just run that a little bit too wide into the wall.
Yeah. Paul Maxire matching his time through sector 1. He's really going for it, using all of the track as he should. Still keeping it within the track limits. So we do need to remember, you need to keep 2 tyres within the white lines. Otherwise the lap is deemed illegal.
Seems to have upboarded his lap though.
Yeah, I think he made a small mistake there, and I think he's going to try and
Mario Lindon was on a fast lap, just hit the wall coming out onto the finish straight.
Max Stein sets a 9:07, puts him up to P3.
His Maxire is now up by half a tenth.
No, he's
Oh, he's on a lap.
he abandoned the lap again after making a small mistake. A lot of drivers making small mistakes. Canada is not the easiest track. It is one of my personal favourites. I do enjoy racing this track.
It's very tight at times, but also gives you some room to make mistakes. So you have a bit of traffic in front of Maxi.
Stefan
All lining
Troma
up.
showed a lot of good pace in the practice. He's currently sitting in P11.
Just got really wide out of
Yeah.
turn 2.
He might be struggling with some understeer as he turns a bit too early there. I think that could be a corner cut. Car seems a bit sluggish through those corners. Doesn't seem to want to turn fast enough.
Almost seemed like he hasn't gotten the setup just right.
Yeah, you can just tell the car is not doing what he wants it to do. As Max Hammerling set to 1:10. One of the new guys, I believe. I'm not sure what team he races for. Doesn't seem to have a livery for this race, but already showing that he can get into the top 10 as Tarek Alcaraz sets a 1:99, and Maxi follows up with a 1:99. So it's looking like a very close battle for P2. But Paul Maxire still on professional pole with that original 1:09 dead. Still 6/10 at ahead of P2. As Clanky sets a 9:05. Sorry, 9 minute. A 1:95. which puts him 4.5 tenths off of Paul Maxire. So the closest driver so far, but still half a second off. And we need to remember that at the start of the session, I don't think the track conditions were at 100% as they are now. So a very solid lap from Maxire as he's on another lap. Again, he was almost 2 tenths up. Goes slightly wide and loses it all. And he's in the wall.
Massive oversteer on turn in.
Yeah, after making that small mistake, it looked like he was really trying to push the car to gain back the time he lost. Let's see, is anyone on a lap right now? Doesn't seem like anyone is on the lap. Stefan Schromm is about to start his lap. Let's see. Let's see if the problem was the car, because I believe that drivers are allowed to change their setups during qualifying.
Still seems to be a tenth down on his fastest lap.
Yeah,
he's having every little oversteer coming out of turn 7. Seems to be a really tricky point for all the drivers.
As you can see, the car is just very sluggish, very understeery. Could be that the setup is very much tuned in for the race. Which we need to remember, there's no parc fermé in this. So drivers are allowed to have 2 different setups, a setup for qualifying and a setup for the race. And to me it looks like Stefan Schromm is just running a race setup for qualifying, which doesn't seem to work that well. Does gain quite a bit of time out of the chicane though.
Well, Janus van Dijk is coming up into the penultimate straight, 10th up on his lap.
Sorry, who's that 10th up?
Janus van Dijk. Just gets hauled up by Christoph Bose though, just a little bit too much and gets oversteer.
Literally as soon as I switch to him, gets a bit of oversteer, puts in the wall. Could be a combination of pushing really hard and that dirty air coming off the driver in front. Clark Hughes seems to be going for it on this lap. He's 10th up on his time.
Max Stein a bit in front of him is at 2 tenths up on his lap time as well. Seemed like the track has really improved.
Clark Hughes 2 tenths up. Let's see. He slightly touched the grass. Tries to brake for the hairpin, and just doesn't get the car to stop. But he's still matching his time even after that mistake.
Stein comes across the line 2 tenths up on his fast lap.
That puts him P2. Still 4 tenths off of Paul Maxire.
Bose improves but stays P4.
Clark Hughes goes wide in turn 3, goes into the wall, and that's his qualifying over. Paul Maxire, half a tenth up. Can he get into the 1:08s? It's going to be very close. I don't think he improved his time by 500s.
Maxi Junger coming out of turn 10 now, also a 10th up on his lap.
He needs at least 2 tenths to be able to gain a position, so he's got to go for it. Seems to brake pretty early, gets a decent exit, still not enough. And Max Stein goes into the pits. Alcada is not on a lap. Doesn't look like anyone is on a lap anymore. That means that Paul Maxire is in pole position for the Canadian Grand Prix. We did a very dominant lap. He set a 1 minute 9.7, I believe, at the start of the session. Only improved by a few hundredths, but still 4/10 faster than the guy in P2.
And the entire top 6 all starting on the Ultrasoft side, with Maxi following with the Hypersofts.
So there's the order on the stream. On the stream, the top 10. Paul Maxire in pole position. Max Stein rounds off the front row, with Clank Hughes in P3, Christoph in P4, Jannis van Dijk in P5, Tarek Alcada in P6, Maximilian, the first Hypersoft driver on the grid, in P7, Mario Lind in P8, Stefan Jomer on Ultrasofts in P9, and the new driver Max Hamelink, I hope I'm saying that right, Hamelink, in P10. So not the most exciting qualifying. Not a lot of people managed to challenge for that pole position. It's unfortunate that Jack Smith couldn't make it tonight. He would have definitely been one of the favourites. To get that pole position. Regardless, we're seeing we're seeing two different strategies in top 10. So I wonder if Maxi, who is the first Hypersoft runner in top 10, is able to use those tyres. Oh, it looks like,
As I believe the race start is delayed due to a driver got disconnected.
yes, yeah, so we do have a restart. So somebody got disconnected, you say?
Yes.
See, okay. So we have a 40-second countdown.
Just building up those nerves for all those lights.
Yeah. I was wondering what was going on as a couple of drivers just disappeared from the grid. Thankfully, our race director is still here and he's able to restart the race. And here we go.
6 lights and away we go for 41 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix.
P4 just got a really good start. I'm not sure if there was a jump start, but it was a very solid start, whoever that was.
Christoph Bose up into P2. As Max Stein is spun around.
I didn't see any major incidents. Paul Maxer seems to get away cleanly, stays in P1 with Christoph in P2.
Already has a gap of 7/10 behind him.
It looks like Dave Southwood has had an incident, and Maxi is completely faced in the wrong way. So I'm not sure what happened there, but again, the bad luck continues for Maxi. He's been taken out in almost every race except the last race, and he finished down the podium. So it's very unfortunate for Maxi. Paul Maxire has already pulled a second gap to Christoph Bose, so that's a very solid start from Paul Maxire. As Jannis van Dijk has a look on the inside of Clank Hughes, doesn't quite make it. Stefan Chalmers, he's trying to go for an overtake with Mario Lind. seems to slightly cut the corner, but gets the move done. Again, just gets loads of understeer. Mario Lind is not able to capitalise on that. Also, as far as I know, Mario Lind is in the wrong livery. It says he's in the KTM Younger livery. There's Max Stein's name on it. That is not correct. As Max Stein is in the grass, facing the wall. Did you manage to see what happened?
No, I did not. Is this in turn 7?
I am not sure.
No, turn 3. Very weird place to go off.
I wonder if he had contact with another driver.
As he has to leave Paul go in front of him.
Jens van Dijk having another look at Clank Hughes. Tries to go on the outside. Goes on the grass, doesn't make it. Clank Hughes gets a better exit.
This gives Christoph the opportunity to run away from the 2 and possibly be safe from the DRS, which will activate after lap 3.
So I think Clank Hughes might be out of the DRS range of Christoph, while Jens van Dijk is still half a second behind him. So it gives Jens van Dijk a better chance at overtaking Clank Hughes, as Hughes is not getting any DRS. I think he's going to try and go for it in turn 1. Has a little look, doesn't want to commit. Oh, Clank Hughes had a bit of oversteer there.
Jens van Dijk definitely slotting in behind.
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for the perfect opportunity to overtake Clank Hughes. As we saw in as we have the first retirement of the session, that's Max Stein, who we saw on the grass in turn. What happened there?
Jens van Dijk has made a small mistake coming out of the chicane, turn 9.
Oh, I was wondering. I was just completely minding my own business, and I just heard Jens van Dijk lock up. So I was just wondering what was going on there. This gives Alcada a very good chance. Is he going to try and go for it? Chicane? Yeah, he is. They go side by side. That's a very clean move by Tarek Alcada, putting him up to P4.
Jens van Dijk is running a little bit too far out of turn 1.
I wonder if he might have flat spotted his tyres, having that look up out of the chicane. Oh, he's suffering with a lot of oversteer.
Stefan Schirmer behind him also comes closer. Just having a little bit understeer and cutting the corner.
Stefan Schirmer looking, he's looking a lot more confident now. It could just be that the setup is just made for the race. Jens van Dijk, he's 1.2 seconds behind Alcada. Does he still have DRS? No, he doesn't. Stefan Schirmer only half a second behind. And so Jens van Dijk, he goes on the sausage curb and clips the wall. Second retirement of the session. Maximilian Junger is out of the race. I wonder what happened. Could you ask? Could you message him? Just asking him what happened. As Jens van Dijk, I don't know what's going on. He just had another small look up. and another lockup.
He definitely flat spotted his tires, causing them to overheat.
That is yeah, you don't want to overheat your tires in a settled Corsa. You definitely it's very hard to cool them down again. Also, is Jens van Dijk on hypersofts?
He's on an ultra softs.
Okay. I feel like with ultra softs.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Maxi. We saw that you retired from the session. Could you explain what happened?
Yes. Well, the start was delayed, and it said on my screen that the start would be delayed even when the lights went out. So I didn't know the start was on, so I retired. I thought that's gonna be restarted. So yeah.
As Yannick van Dijk comes into the pits to switch tires onto the
Already.
high.
So it's quite early.
Okay, that's very interesting. So 7 laps on the ultra softs and goes on the hyper softs.
I am
That's
not correct.
quite weird.
He switched onto the hypersofts, yes.
Anyway, basically the race started, and I didn't know it was a real start. So besides that, I just got taken out, so I had to retire.
Not sure what's going on, but David Bull he's been overtaken by 3 drivers in like 4 corners. Yeah, he just dropped a lot of positions there. He went from P8 to P11.
Also on the ultra soft tires. Maybe the hypersofts of Max and Mario are just.
That's Dave South that goes for an overtake onto Rich and Ford. Goes a bit wide. Rich and Ford does a bit of a mistake there. He's put Niels Fischer right on his tail with DRS. They come very close to each other. I was scared for a second. It's a clean move from Niels Fischer. Cyprian Stoyan goes for an overtake on Rich and Ford into turn 1. Another clean move. It looks like as soon as the driver gets overtaken, they get attacked by another driver. The midfield is very close in Trout. As Rich and Ford has a kick of oversteer in turn 4, which gives David Bull P11 back.
I believe Christoph Bose has hit the wall coming out of turn 9.
Let's see. I don't see.
Being overtaken by Clark Hughes.
I don't see any massive damage on his front wing, so I wonder if he's able to continue just fine. He does continue. But this gives Paul Maxey a 5-second gap to P2 now, so that's a very good lead to have after 9 laps. So I'm sure he's feeling good. As Niels Fischer has a small tap on the wall of champions. Gives Cyprian Stoyan a good overtaking chance, and he takes it, and that's a clean move. Gets it done by turn 2. As Max Hammerlink comes out of the pits, you see what tyres he's on?
On the super soft, so he's gonna a compound harder.
So he went from ultra softs to super softs. So only 9 laps on the ultras. So do you reckon he's aiming for a 2-stop here?
Or he could make the super softs last until the rest of the race. That's
I would just find it very weird to. I mean, maybe it's just a problem in temperatures. Maybe the super soft are just better at handling the temperatures around this track. Let's see. No one is really that close to each other, so there's not a lot of battles on track. The field seems quite evenly spread out at the moment.
Janice van Dijk already back up into P9 with those new hypersofts.
As Niels Fischer is coming out of the pits.
Also on the supersofts.
So it's looking like, at least so far, Supersoft is the tyre that drivers want to pit for. That's I'm not sure if Tarek Alcada has just made a mistake, but he drops down to P5. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of clean overtaking done, or how would you say it? Seems like people are gaining positions because other people are making mistakes. They're not actually gaining positions because they're fighting each other.
It's a very hard track to overtake on apart from the DRS zones.
Yeah, that is very much true. Paul Maxire has pulled a 6.5 second gap to Clank Hughes. Christopher Bowes losing time to Clank Hughes, so I think he's definitely suffering from some damage, as he was faster than Clank Hughes.
Dave Southward in DRS of Mario Linde now. Good exit out of turn 14.
Yeah, getting very close indeed with the DRS. See that he just gains a lot on him. Doesn't seem like a DRS is as overpowered as it was in the last race in Spa. I remember the drivers using in the first what is the straight called? Camel Straight? I'm not that familiar with the track. You know the long straight after Eau Rouge.
Yes.
Yeah. With DRS, drivers could easily be like 5 car lengths ahead of the driver because of DRS. He was very overpowered in Spa.
Could be due to a combination of the lower wings on Canada.
Yeah, it's definitely.
As Southward is looking for that toe. Really gains on Mario, but decides not to go near.
This could very well setting up for a turn 1 overtake, as he gains a lot with the DRS, and he's definitely going for it. Mario Lynn keeping it around the outside, gives him the inside for the next corner. Now let's see if we can have a better exit. Still going side by side. Dave Southwood has to better exit, and this contact. Both go around Southwood. Who did he click there?
Jannis van Dijk up into P6 now.
Jannis still going, but he's definitely got some contact there. Dave Southwood he has heavy damage. That's a very awkward corner. I remember spinning out in turn 4, and I just got collected by someone, because like you can't really see what's around the corner, and you're coming in so fast. I don't think Jannis van Dijk.
Lining up Southward.
Oh, that's Richard Ford. Looks like he's spun around down to P11 now.
David Bull cleanly around the inside out of turn 10.
Should be an easy. Oh, I was going to say it should be an easy overtake for Dave Southwood with DRS, but David Bull. Oh, Dave Southwood goes into the pits. So he's currently on he's on ultra softs.
He's currently on hypers.
Oh, okay, so he's on hypers.
He's
he missed his pit box.
He's beginning to repair the rear wing from the collision. As he switches onto the Ultra Softs.
Interesting. Interesting strategy. So Hypersofts to Ultras and other drivers going for Ultras to Supers. As soon as I switch to Mario Lind, he spins in turn 6. I think he's still suffering from the damage he got from a lap earlier in turn 4 when he was battling with Dave Southwood. Max Hammerlink right up on Rich and Ford's gearbox. I think he's going to try and look for an overtake into turn 10. Going into the hairpin, he tries to go around the outside. Rich and Ford defends inside.
Richard and Ford just getting that little bit oversteer on the apex of the corner.
Yeah, it's not going to help him
his exit.
because Hammerlink, he's going to have DRS for this straight. And it should
Already
be a
getting
fairly,
really close without DRS.
yeah, it should be a fairly easy move. Yep, done before the chicane. Gets DRS for the start finish straight. As Mario Lind is in the pits, it looks like he repaired his damage. You see what tyres he's on?
He just switched onto the Ultra Softs.
So he's going from the Hypers to the Ultras. Okay, so we're seeing two different strategies here. Hypers to Ultras and Ultras to Super Softs.
Seems like Yannis has pitted again from the Hypersoft to the Ultrasofts, falling back to P8.
So Dave Southwood gets to move down on Richard Ford going into turn 8. Richard Ford has a bit of oversteer, which gives Niels Fischer a chance at overtaking Richard Ford in turn 10. Gets
Richard Ford really struggling on those Hypersofts right now.
Yeah, it looks like he has some damage on his front wing as well, so that definitely doesn't help. It's David Bull coming out of the pits.
As Richard Ford also chooses to switch on to the Ultrasofts. So Ultrasofts definitely seem like the preferred race tire.
Yeah, so far, yeah. So Richard Ford comes out behind. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, Stefan Schromer is right behind. Hold up.
As Richard Ford misses his brake marker and just goes straight on in turn 6.
For some reason, I swear the liveries were a bit weird on the stream for a second. Hammerlink, he's trying to go for an overtake on Niels Fischer, going in the last chicane and clips Niels Fischer. And Fischer goes straight into the wall of champions. Looks like he has some heavy damage. So that's a very dangerous way to try and rejoin the race. I think it was Mario Lind who had to completely cut that part of the track to try and avoid the cars in front. So the new guy, he had a very good qualifying P10, but yeah, he's not really showing showing anything. Well, I'm not saying not showing anything good in the race, but just took out one of the drivers. So one of the drivers spun on the track, but I can't tell who that was.
K-Man on the exit of turn 7, I believe.
So he drops down to P14. So So yeah, a lot of people making mistakes. A lot of people spinning around. I think it's just some corners just heat up your tires a lot, and at least from what I've noticed, the car is very hard to control once the tires overheat. As Richenford gets overtaken by who's that?
As Niels Fischer's gone into the pits to switch onto the Ultra Softs from the old Super Softs.
Who is? Oh, okay. So Richenford in P12. He's following Tariq Alcada, so he's a lap down. I was wondering why I couldn't see a DAC car in front of him in the standings. That is why. So the top 5 already coming around some lapped traffic. I think this is due to the amount of incidents we've had so far. We're only 19 laps into the race. Another 22 to go.
As Paul Maxar goes into the pits.
So he stayed on those Ultra Softs for 19 laps.
And switched onto the Super Softs.
So
And Clank Hughes follows him into the pits.
so that's a fairly straightforward one stop then.
Also switches onto the Super Softs.
As Tariq Alcad is in the pits as well. So Paul Max pitting just it just triggered a lot of people. A lot of people just following into the pits.
Tarek also switched to the Super Softs.
Didn't Stefan Tromer pit early in the race already? 'Cause if he's under one stop, it could mean that he's net P2 right now. But Paul Maxar is behind him on fresh Super Softs, so I'm not expecting this to last too long. And he's already getting a lot on Stefan Tromer.
Maxar just looking for the easy overtake onto Casino Straight. Opening the DRS.
And that's easy overtake. Stefan Tromer goes in the pits for a second. It looked like he was just going to plough into Paul Maxar. So is this his second pit stop for Stefan Tromer?
I believe it's his first.
Okay, then I must be mixing it up with Richenford, who has been in the pits a couple of times. So Stefan Tromer comes out ahead of Tariq Alcada. Has a nice gap to B5, so if he can just keep up this pace, he's definitely looking at a top 4 finish. Paul Maxar slowly closing in on Christoph.
Christoph still on those old Ultra Softs.
I wonder if he's going to go into the pits. He's not. I wonder if he's going to try and do ultras to hypers. It's Paul Maxar. Looks to go for an overtaking turn 1. Christoph doesn't want to challenge. I mean, we do need to remember he's on 22 lap old ultras. These tires are very old. He's not going to be able to challenge Paul Maxar, who's on a fresh set of Super Softs. As Christoph makes a mistake, out of turn 9, I believe. That was very close. That was very close. Clank Hughes almost collects Christoph out of turn 9. I think Christoph, he's definitely going to have to pit now. It looks like his tyres are done.
Would be interesting to see on what tire he's going to switch on to.
It looks like we have our third retirement from the race, and that's Niels Fischer, who got collected earlier in the race. As Christoph goes into the pits. I wonder if he's going to try and go for the ultras to hyper strategy.
He switched to the super softs as well.
Okay, interesting. So staying out for 22 laps on the ultra softs.
So he's now looking for that tire advantage in the later stages of the race.
So yeah, that's kind of out of the window now. So he's back
As
to
Cyprian
the,
is right behind Yanis.
yeah, this seems to be the closest battle on the track so far. Currently. I can't believe I forgot that there was that added DRS straight there. I don't know why I've completely forgotten about that. Definitely does help though. Definitely does help. So I think Cyprian doesn't get that good of an exit out of turn 10. And Jens van Dijk gets DRS from Christoph. Hello?
Hello, it's me again.
Oh, hello Maxi, you're pretty quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a bit better, yeah.
Yeah, there's talks about possibly rerunning this race.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, well, nothing's set yet, so yeah.
Okay, so they're thinking about red flagging the race, or?
No, it's probably gonna finish, and then it'll be decided afterwards, I guess.
Okay, so because Paul Maxire, he's pulled a 13-second gap to P2.
Well, it was sort of known that he's gonna do well, because in practice he's been, I think, like at least half a second quicker than anyone else. So
Yeah.
it was sort of expected from the whole field that he'll lead.
Also, as we were rambling, Jannis van Dijk manages to overtake Christoph. He gets
I'm
P5.
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I wasn't paying attention. It's
But yeah, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say to you that a lot of drivers making mistakes around this track.
Yeah, it's a tricky track. You know, it's the reason it's being rerun is because of the start. Because some people, including me, didn't know that the start was live, and it's it ruined some people's races, and it's not really the way it should have gone. There was also a lot of crashes at the start because of it. People being
David
a bit
Bull in the
confused.
pits for a second time.
Has anyone been doing two stops? That's a good question.
I believe David Bull has just done the 2-stop. Is he trying to pit?
Yeah.
He had a very
Anyone
slow
else?
entry.
Yeah, I guess he wants to play it safe.
No, I mean like a very, very slow. It's like he forgot where his pit box is.
Probably.
David will switch onto the ultra softs.
So he went from ultras to supers to ultras.
That's interesting because it's supposed to be a one-stop from hypers to ultras. So, people should be easily pulling that off because you can't. The supers, they don't heat up enough.
Most drivers choosing to go ultra soft, super softs though.
Still, that's really interesting for me because if you want to run the thing with this car is you have an ideal pressure, If you want to run the super soft, they won't be at ideal pressure.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we were seeing with some drivers. I think that's one reason why David Bull decided to go back from the pits and put on another set of ultras.
Just a question: is he in the points?
Who is in the point?
DJB.
He's currently P11.
Okay, so just one spot outside.
But considering that the driver in P10, Max Hamelink, how would you say his surname? It's German.
Hammerling, I think.
Hammerling. He took out Nils Fischer
Yeah.
in the last chicane, so that could definitely be looked at. So he might get a time penalty, which could promote DJB into P10 as it stands.
Niels Fischer having a torrid time this race.
Yeah, I really don't know what Hamelink was thinking about. He was nowhere near.
Christoph Bose and Jonas van Dijk racing each other into the turn 8-9 chicane. And is getting a good run on turn 10. Around the outside. Looking for that switchback.
Yeah, tries to go to the switchback. Gets a pretty good exit.
Already alongside without the use of DRS yet.
And just looking at the replays now, I actually got punted off by your driver, Stefan.
Really? Well,
yeah.
We'll talk about that after the race.
Will we?
Yes. Gonna promote him. Well. Of course, we don't want anything like that. Cyprian Stein very close to Tarek Algada. It's very hard to tell where anyone's going to finish because drivers just keep going up and down, just depending on if people make mistakes or not.
Both on comparable tires of the super softs as well.
Let's see how much Cyprian can gain with the DRS. Doesn't want any of the slipstream from Alcada. Decides to just keep it on the racing line. Gains quite a bit going in the chicane, but it looks like Alcada still has a better exit, which means Cyprian is nowhere near him going into turn 1.
Seems to regain a lot of time though through turn 2. So he gets a good run on Tarek.
Ooh, Cyprian brakes really late there. Almost goes into Alcada. Now he's lost a lot of time because of that mistake. That puts him in danger of being overtaken by Dave Southwood.
Who's now right behind him.
Yep. Cyprian loses DRS from Alcada. And this gives Southwood DRS. So it's not looking good for Cyprian right now.
So yeah, guys, sorry for interrupting you. I'm just gonna go. Sorry for coming into the commentator's booth.
It's alright. It's nice to have you here.
Have a good race.
Southwood is he really wants this overtake. Still very close to Cyprian. Lose a bit of time there. Should be fine. He's going to have a very long DRS straight coming out of turn 10.
Just looking to get that DRS onto the main straight.
Yeah. Sorry, Cyprian, nowhere near Alcadet. Not going to have DRS. South of the only driver here to get DRS. It's going to benefit him a lot. You can see he's going to gain a lot on Cyprian. And if he's... Oh, and he locks up and loses the back end.
Just got close enough to Cyprian, but not close enough to...
As he rage quits. Okay. Another retirement. Dave Southwood. Could be just I mean, it could be a mechanical problem. Maybe his brakes failed. Let's just say that his brakes failed. But this also means that Hammerling, David Bull, and the other drivers below Southwood all gain a position. And David, why do people lose this since I switched to them? I feel sorry.
He'll probably have to head to the pits now for repairs the car.
As I switch to David Bull, he loses it in turn 10 and goes into the wall, which gives him a bit of front wing damage. It's overtaken by Tarek Alcada. Hammerling into the pits. David Bull decides to stay out, doesn't think it's worth it to go into the pits. Cyprian is... where is he? He spun going into the pits. As some of you might know, there is... you don't need to slow down when you enter the pits. And I think Cyprian just tried to fucking... apologies for that word. He tried to torpedo into the pits and just lost it, which I've done it before. That one slipped out, I'm not gonna lie.
I think you can all vouch that every driver has done that once.
Yeah. As Hamlink retires. Interesting.
I believe this moves Tom Richenford into the points.
No, it puts him at the P11 as K-Man. He's currently P10. But if there's any more retirements, he could get the points. He hasn't scored any points this season yet. He was looking good at the first half of the race. Currently sitting in P13 and a lap down from the leader. Possibly
Magzai now
22
clear of Hughes.
Yeah, very dominant from Paul Maxwell. We haven't really followed him after the first stint he did, but he has pulled a 22-second gap to P2. No, I don't think he's really even pushing that much. Just conserving the tyres and just taking it easy. He doesn't need to push. That 22-second gap is it's more than enough to secure a win tonight. And he has looked like he has looked like a dominant driver the whole weekend. So props to him. He dominated the practice sessions. Dominated qualifying and dominated the race.
As we're coming to the closing stage of the race.
Not much happening on the track right now. The drivers below P6 having quite a big gaps to each other, and the closest driver we have right now is Stefan Schormer. He's 1 seconds off of Clank Hughes. Stefan Schormer He's looking. He did the first race of the season. Had to stay away for a little bit for personal reasons. Came back for Spa. Got taken out at the start. So it was a very unfortunate race for him. But he's back at it again. Did a lot of practice for this race, and he's currently sitting in P3. So that's very good for him. And very good for the team. So I think B Racing is sitting somewhere in P11 right now.
At the moment, Jannes van Dijk is the only one on Ultrasofts in the top 7. So his strategy calls really helped him gain some positions.
Not much happening right now.
Stefan Thurmer slowly gaining on Clank Hughes though. Last lap he gained 7/10.
This is going to be the battle to watch. He still has 5 laps to go to catch up to Clank Hughes. Clank Hughes he seems to be struggling with oversteer, while Stefan Stromer seems to be struggling with understeer. But I think Clank Hughes is burning his tyres with that oversteer. As you can tell,
Yeah, he
Stefan
definitely
Stromer,
is.
he's getting a lot on this lap.
He's already within DRS.
Yeah, he already has DRS for this straight. It's looking very good indeed for Stefan Stromer. He's caught up faster than I thought. I thought he was going to take a couple of laps. But already on this lap, he's within half a second of Clank Hughes. Pretty sure Stefan Stromer pitted after Clank Hughes. So he should be on fresher tyres. Also, it looks like Stefan Stromer has slight front wing damage. I'm not sure how much that affects him. Could be the reason why he has a bit of understeer. He seems to cope
Could
with
have
it quite
possibly
well.
saved him from having to burn up his rear tires.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. As you can just
Bucky was
tell,
really
Clank
sliding
Hughes,
on the
yeah,
apex.
he keeps having oversteer on the same corner every lap. That must not be good for his rear tyres. But you can tell the way Stefan has set up his car. It seems a lot more stable. He's able to go on the power a lot earlier. Even though in some corners he does go a bit wide because of the understeer. But I guess it is a bit of a trade-off. While Clank Hughes, he is better turning, but he gets more oversteer, which sacrifices his exits. That's a lapped car in front of Clank Hughes and Stefan Stromer. Stefan Stromer has contact with Clank Hughes. Lets him. He lets Clank Hughes keep that position. It's fair play.
That was the question, if he has enough damage on his front wing to make him pit.
Yeah, this could have also given rear wing damage for Clank Hughes, which is not what he wants. Without all his day he keeps having, this can make the car very unbalanced.
Even in my own experience, the slightest bit of damage to your rear wing just makes the car completely undrivable. But doesn't seem to be having that much damage to his rear wing.
Clank Hughes has a slight lock up. There is only 3 laps to go. Stefan Stromer has been within half a second for the past 3 laps.
Really has to make it count on this last hairpin.
You can just tell the car understeers a little bit there. Gives Clank Hughes a better exit, but is it going to be enough? Stefan Stromer is going to get DRS for this long straight. Doesn't seem to be gaining that much. Clank Hughes, you could be running real low wings, to be honest. As he has a really bad exit out of the chicane.
And could also be saving ERS for most of the circuit to just burn it all on the straights.
Oh, Clank Hughes, he decided to defend the inside, going in turn 2. And he had to
Just runs a little bit too wide and collects the grass.
Yeah. It looks like Clank Hughes also suffers from front wing damage. This gives Stefan Chalmer P2. Now Clank Hughes, he needs to keep it together. Jannes van Dijk is only 6 seconds behind Clank Hughes. So if he keeps making mistakes like that, he could lose that podium position. So Richard Ford is into the pits again, I think for the 4th time. I mean, he has nothing to lose, so
And he switched onto the Hypersoft as well.
maybe he wants to give the fastest lap a go. Not the best. Hasn't been the best race. Best race for Richard Ford. He had a decent start, and I think he was running in like P8 at one point. But I think he made a small mistake. Went into the wall, and he was, I think, 3 laps down at one point. He's still a lap down from the leader. So with only 2 laps to go, there is not much he can do here. So close yet so far.
Seven Stromer is now running away from Hughes. There's a gap of 2 seconds now.
So the leader is on the final lap. Paul Maxire, again, we haven't talked about him that much. He has pulled a half a minute gap to P2.
Absolutely dominant from him.
As we follow him for the rest of the lap. What a dominant race from Paul Maxire.
Gained pole position by over half a second.
I think, does he have the fastest lap as well? I'm not sure about that. Anyway, Paul Maxire finishes the race in P1. Very dominant performance from him. Stefan Chalmer currently in P2. Clank Hughes is 1.7 seconds behind him, so if he doesn't make a mistake here, it looks like that P2 position is his, and he crosses the line in P2. Very good race from him. Didn't have the best of qualifying sessions. Still, a solid performance from him. Clank Hughes P3. Jannes van Dijk P4. Christoph Bose P5. Tarek Alcaide comes in P6. Superstein makes it around the last, makes it around the hairpin. Currently in P7. Looks like the drivers behind him have already finished the race. So
David Bull last across the line.
So this looks to be our top 10. Somewhat of an interesting race. A lot of people making mistakes. Drivers going up and down the order. At least in the first half of the race. Kind of settled down in the second half. Let me just zoom in on the standings. Wait, is that correct? Did David Bull finish P9? Okay,
Yes.
that is correct. Okay, good. I was just making sure. So, as we can see, Paul Max RP1, Stefan Chalmer, first podium finish of the season, finishes P2. Clank Hughes runs off the podium in P3. Jannes van Dijk P4. Christoph Bose in P5. Tarek Akin in P6. Cyprian Stein P7. He's been very consistent this season, Cyprian. Mario Lind P8. David Bull, once again, not the fastest driver on the grid, but somehow he always gets into the point. P9, good, solid finish from David Bull once again, scoring points for Octan. K-Man finishes off the rounds off the top 10. So that was a very interesting race, very interesting race indeed. What are your thoughts?
Strategy didn't really play a role, but Jannes van Dijk still gaining a lot of positions with his strategy during the race.
All right, that was very interesting. Let's see if we have any drivers for any drivers we can get in for an interview. As Maxi already joined early in the race, it did say there was a bit of a hassle or something going on at the start. Some drivers getting confused if the session was started, if the session was live or not. So we have our first driver, Christoph the Machine Bose. Hello, Christoph.
Hello.
That was a very very interesting race from our perspective. A lot of people making mistakes. What are your thoughts on the race?
First of all, I think for me it was good because I had very little preparation the last months or very training, so I wasn't sure if I end up like 10th or even outside the points, or if it would be okay. And so qualifying fourth alone was good. The start was mega, but Canada is very difficult because you have to accelerate outwards the corner while still turning, so it's very difficult to keep it clean all race long.
Yeah,
And yeah, that bit me too, 2 or 3 times.
yeah. We saw a lot of drivers struggling, and some drivers went for super softs, but I think they found out that those tires they couldn't get them up to temperature, so they went back on ultra softs. Were you struggling with any of the tires?
No, I think the Ultra Soft was the best tire. Ideally, if you would run ultras into ultras again. They would easily last 30 laps, so you could go ultras into hypers, which I was about to do. But then I binned it massively around lap 20, and then I went to supers because I think two stop when half the race is done is not a viable option. But I wouldn't run the hypers for 20 laps either. For my testing was weird because I lost the car a lot on entry, so I would stretch the ultras as long as I can before going to hypers. But yeah, then the crash happened.
All right, I see. Wolf, are you still here? As he's muted on Discord. Personally, I have no more questions. I was wondering if Wolf wanted to ask something, but he seems to be missing in action. Anyway, thanks, Christoph.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I have shown that even if I don't compete for some time, I'm still able to pull in some points.
Oh yeah, that is true. You when was the last time you raced? Was it Silverstone?
Yeah, Silverstone there I had like literally no preparation, and the car setup was so bad that I spun 4 or 5 times within 10 laps, and then I just stopped the car because I was not going anywhere. And then before that, I think it was Bahrain, or I don't know. So not a lot of races this season.
Yeah, this seems to be. I mean, this is your first points finish of the season.
Yeah,
Also makes it your best finish so far.
yeah, that's true. But I think I got a bit unlucky in my previous races. In Bahrain, I had a opening lap crash, and somewhere else too. I don't remember exactly where it was. So, but the pace was always decent in the mid to lower half of the points. But yeah, I'm happy I still got it.
Yeah, that's. I always enjoy seeing people who uh, uh, how would I say it? I completely lost my train of thought like mid sentence there.
Happens.
uh,
Uh,
anyway, Wolf kind of just left me here alone now, so that's all I have for now. Thanks for everything. Thanks for racing tonight.
was a pleasure.
I guess will we see you in Malaysia?
Depends. If it's in 2 weeks, then I'm afraid not.
Yeah,
Quite
it is in
busy
it is in
lately.
2 weeks. Yes.
Even though I really like the calendar this year, though. It's a lot of tracks I enjoy.
Yeah, it is a very solid calendar. Very solid calendar indeed. All right, I'm gonna bring in Cyprian Stoyan, who seems to be the next one. Waiting for an interview. You can stay here if you want, or you can leave. Completely up
I'm
to you.
quiet. I listen.
All right. Hello, Cyprian.
Hi. Wild race.
Yes. Yeah. I saw a lot of people making mistakes. Especially in the first half of the race. A lot of drivers going up and down the order. People spinning out, especially on turn 6. That fast chicane. I saw a lot of people lose the car there. What are your thoughts on the race?
I try to avoid Dave, who also spin, and I spin myself, and I must do a recover race. Wasn't anyone's fault there. My fault because I try to avoid him, and when I push the throttle, I spin. So, and I start to recover. I had a good pace. I do a mistake. um, I had a two-stop option, and for the second one should be ultra soft tires, and I put super soft tires. This was my mistake.
I mean, considering that you qualified outside of top 10, finishing P7, you must be happy about that.
Yeah, sure. I fight with Alcadak for P6 in one time.
Yeah.
Yes,
See,
I'm very happy. I avoid some crashes, but I keep my concentrate, and I do not make a lot of mistakes, especially in that world's
yeah.
championship
You
world.
you seem to be one of the few drivers who've actually attended every race, and you seem to, if I'm not completely mistaken, I think you have the longest point scoring streak out of
Uh,
all the drivers. So
I think so, except first two tracks. I score every
yeah,
race.
yeah,
But I'm happy with my results here. From 14 to 7 place, it's a good result. Could be better, but who knows?
yeah. What was your what strategy did you go for?
Two stops.
So
Super soft.
so you were
The
one of the
first.
drivers who went for a two stop because
Yeah.
as I was talking with Christoph, he was saying that the one stop was definitely the better strategy around this track, which I do agree. One stop is always better, but we saw a couple of drivers go for a two stop. I think it was
I, prac- I
you.
practice a lot for two stops. For me, more than 10 laps doesn't resist the tires, the ultra soft tires. And I do 10, 20, 10 laps. That was my strategy. Ultra soft, soft,
But I
ultra
mean,
soft. Again.
yeah, I mean, even if you say that one stop seems to be the better strategy, you're still making the two stop work very well. So good on you.
Yes, except the last mistake, because should be ultra soft tire, not super soft. Was okay. I don't have any chance to catch Alcadak with two stops, but 7th place, it's okay till the end. I'm
May-
in points. Too
Maybe
bad I'm
maybe
alone.
in the next race.
Maybe points by points, you can
Yeah.
win the championship.
Yep.
It's not the case for me, but still.
Welcome back, Wolf.
Thank you, guys, for this league and support and all the streaming.
And thanks to you, the drivers as well. I mean, you're the reason why we're able to run this league, and you guys bringing some good action. So we're definitely happy about that.
Okay. Thank you very much. See you next race.
All right, we'll see you there.
Bye.
I'm trying to revive Wolf. So when
Yeah,
I
no,
oh,
I had
there
some
you go.
technical difficulties. First, my internet went out, and then my microphone got unplugged.
God damn it, you just left me hanging. So it didn't seem like a lot of people wanted to talk today. For reasons unknown. A lot of people seem to be pissed about what happened at the start of the race. Do you have anything you want to say, Wolf, about the race? Or do you want to ask Christoph anything?
Not really.
I guess that concludes our stream for tonight. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be racing in Malaysia, which is the 9th round of the season. Things are going to start getting very interesting as we use the best 8 out of 10 point system. So dropped points, they're going to start to be a thing. We'll see. We'll see if that affects anything in the standings. So that's in 2 weeks' time, and in a week's time, we'll be going back to the Formula 3 series. I'm trying to find out where we are racing next week. Do you have any idea?
Okayama, Japan.
So that's going to be another interesting race. The championship there is getting a bit spicier as well, as the championship leader Urmas Rees has been removed from the league, as I was saying earlier. He's bringing the hybrid championship battle in the hybrid series a bit closer as well. Same thing happening in the Formula 3 series. So definitely looking forward to that. So if you guys don't have anything to say, that's gonna be it for tonight. Wolf?
Not
No?
really.
Not really.
Alright. We'll see you next week then.